Hi, I'm Barbara Bruce, and welcome to Get Out, a weekly virtual broadcast where we invite you to grab your friends and family, fill up the gas tank, and don't forget the keys, and get out with us somewhere in the White Mountains. And we are out today, and of course we're among flowers, and I am with the flower farmer herself, Camilla Sexton. Hi.
Hi.
Who knew that there would be flowers that you were growing to sell? Did you always want to do this?
No, I think I always wanted to be a farmer, moving up here to the White Mountains. Even when I used to live in the valley and I wanted to be a farmer, but I only considered veggie farming, not realizing flower farming was an option. And I discovered flower farming about 3 years ago and just took off and started working.
And you did take off. There's a little bit of everything. And I'm watching a hummingbird over here. Mm-hmm. They have to love this place, right?
They do.
And bees.
Bees love it. We have a neighbor down the street that keeps bees, and we just happened to start this at the same time. He started his bees and I started my flowers, and it's a
symbiotic relationship.
Yes, very much so. We have a lot of hummingbird moths. I see bumblebees earlier in the year. Oh, the bumblebees are my favorite, but it's so fun. Yeah.
I grew up with bumblebees because my grandmother was president of the garden club. And so there was a little bit of everything. And of course, she didn't use fertilizer or anything, and you have a sustainable garden. You don't do that either, do you?
Not any synthetic fertilizers. I do use fish emulsion or just more natural fertilizers, yeah.
And I like that because one of the things that happens is that a lot of people get rid of their dandelions and other things, and bees need that to survive.
Yeah. So many things that are considered weeds they're part of our ecosystem. They're part of nature. We need them. This morning picking flowers, and I have a lot of what I call bachelor buttons. They're the blue flowers over here, and somebody that's come to help me in the morning, they said, "Aren't these weeds?" Like, no, it's in the eye of the beholder. Like, they are so beautiful. Yeah, so many of our native flowers that are considered weeds, I could totally use in my sales and my bouquets I create.
Well, I love that because I think when you think about weeds, what is it they say that some people see weeds, other people see garden flowers,
yes.
And I do as well. We all love the wildflowers, but you have such an array. When do you start planting each year?
The year before.
The year before. Wow.
Yeah, so there's actually some flowers and perennials that this is the time to be planting, even maybe like the last few weeks to plant out perennials, and I've been doing that. We actually just planted a bunch of lupine. I'm trying lupine for the first time, the tall, multi-colored varieties, and then they should bloom next spring for me. But tulip bulbs, daffodil bulbs should be going in October or so, and so you have to prepare the year before for the following year. I start seeds indoors as early as January and December, and then all through May, June, I'm starting seeds, and then it produces all of this bounty.
And you're not just growing flowers. All year long you're doing something, because you're only open from what month to what month?
I'm selling flowers about the month of April, and then June through early October when we get our first frost.
That's what I thought, about October.
Yep.
So I was reading your webpage, and it said that people don't really come here as a rule. They come here to pick up things, but this is not a storefront.
No.
So you have more than one plot, is that correct?
I do. This, where most of my flowers are grown, is actually a friend's lot. When I first started this, I approached them. It was bare dirt. There was nothing. They sprayed it for weeds for 10 plus years, and it's just amazing to see the transformation. I wish I had more pictures of it before, but I approached them, I used this, and then we bought our first house a year and a half ago, and so I'm growing some there as well, but I have some major weed pressure that I'm dealing with as well, so that's a really small location. And then I started another at another friend's plot that has agricultural land, and possibly expanding on that land. But it's just a small plot there. It's probably 35 by 35, which may sound large to some people, but this is a farm. So,
and it's work.
It's so much work. So many people They say, oh, you're living my dream life. Well, honey, do you like mosquito bites and sunburns and sweat? And
Right. Yes, I said I needed a sun hat today.
Yeah.
My grandmother always wore a sun hat, but a lot of people up here garden.
Yes.
But when people come from other areas of the state, one of the things they say is, gardening is not normal. I never heard of raised beds. I never heard of those kind of things. But you don't even seem to have raised beds. You're growing from the ground up.
Our native soil is so good for our plants. We can't grow flowers and plants that take acidic soil, but our soil is alkaline, and there are so many minerals in that native clay soil. So many people think clay is terrible, but you mix it with compost and organic matter, and it's gold. So don't get discouraged, just amend the soil.
We've got bees.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can we just walk around and you identify some of the flowers? I mean, we know sunflowers, and when someone gets a bouquet from you, it's a variety. And I looked, you have a lot of different choices, and this is not just for pretty. You can have it for weddings, you can have it for funerals, you can have it for a little bit of everything. And I like flowers every single week. It makes my day.
Yeah, and fresh flowers, I'm not saying this to toot my horn, but just they're so different than anything you find in the grocery store.
They
and
are.
a lot of what comes here doesn't ship well, so actually florists aren't able to get a lot of this stuff. And it's so unique, and it's part of what makes my heart so happy. So I'm happy to share everything in here, and just know that as a flower farm, we pick most of what's available. So there are some things available here, but I wish I had tons of dahlias and sunflowers to show you. These are leftover sunflowers. These are not sunflowers that are going to be going in bouquets. These are just old and aged. I pick sunflowers daily, even sometimes twice a day, because they have to be picked at a certain stage. And if they aren't, then they're just blown open and they just don't last as long as in the vase. So.
And you have seeds. You carry a little belt around, and you said you're grabbing seeds all day long.
Sometimes, if there's something that's going to seed and I want to grow it again, yeah, I'll just put it in my little pocket here. So.
I love it. Okay, let's see some of the flowers.
All right.
We are among pretty flowers right now. I don't always know the names of them, and it doesn't really matter, because if they make me happy and they're pretty, then I'm okay. But I was drawn to these. What are these?
Aren't
they're
those
beautiful.
Gorgeous? Those are one of my favorites. I grew for the first time this year. This is a type of Delphinium.
Wow.
So I love the lilac color, this vibrant blue one.
One of my favorites.
Isn't that gorgeous? Blues in nature are so rare, and I am just hoarding them all. I'm growing so many blue flowers because they're so rare. I love them. But this is, yeah, of course, I love the purples, and then we have some other types of Delphinium down here, I think, that look like orchids.
Wow.
I think they're so beautiful.
You know, one of the things, when you and I were talking, you said that one of the florists got some of these. Do you sell to florists as well?
I do.
Really?
Our local florists love to support local, and my flowers haven't shipped from South America or Alaska, different parts in the world, and so they're fresh. They're not squished, they're not moldy. The florists do as much as they can to get the best product for customers, but sometimes the wholesalers don't get them fresh flowers, and so they are excited to get fresh stuff from me that is not damaged.
You were talking about mold, and one of the things I learned from your website, because I always love those little flower packets that you put in there to keep them fresh. And every day I have known forever that you cut off a little bit every day and you make sure the water's not murky. But when the flower packet's gone, you go, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But you said put a little bit of bleach in there.
A drop.
A drop, okay.
So some people will try and put half a cup and you will burn up your flowers.
Yes.
They will just dissolve in that.
It's strong.
But yes, you do just a drop of bleach for maybe a quart. You can put half a teaspoon of sugar in there as well, or some people do like a little bit of some type of soda. But the sugar feeds the flowers, and the combination really helps the flowers stay alive and happy and healthy for longer. So that's what the flower packet is doing for you. Some people don't like to use bleach because it's a harsh chemical, and totally understand, and actually apple cider vinegar will help keep bacteria down as well.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where did you learn all this?
Here
and there?
Here and there. I'm in contact with other flower farmers. There's some online forums I'm a part of that I glean information from, and I'm just reading books and websites and anything I can, and experience, so much experience.
So trial and error.
So much, yeah.
Here we go. Let's go look at some more
All
flowers.
right.
You know, we could spend the whole day going in and out of the different rows here, but some things are not flowering, but you just told me that this smells good. You said
Yes.
rub your finger?
Yes, so
What do I do?
this is called scented geranium.
like this?
Yeah, you rub it.
Okay.
So
Rub
it is related to the houseplant geranium. Do you smell that?
Yes.
So there's a variety here with the chocolate veins or chocolate middles. That's called chocolate mint.
Does it smell different? Let's
Yes.
find out. Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
this is like rubbing the side of the candle in the store.
And I
Wow.
wish when I shared this stuff on social media that people could scratch and sniff. It's so amazing. But and this is a later season green for really elegant, for more mature bouquets. You definitely need greens and foliages rather than just big flowers. And so this is one of my favorite greenery to put in. Is scented geranium. So they are related to the household geranium, but
Wow.
we don't grow them for the flowers. I grow them for the greens. And then for the really just plant enthusiasts, they can just appreciate more than just looks of the bouquet. They can appreciate more smells as well. And if you happen to get one of these in a bouquet, you can stick it in dirt or water and root it and grow your own plant.
My dad could always do that. I never have been able to do it. So you think I can do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I believe
They're really
you.
easy. And another scented one down here is I grow basil, lemon basil and Thai basil, and they add more color and texture and scent. It's another favorite of mine and definitely a favorite of customers.
It reminds me of something you would use in a wedding bouquet.
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
brides love it. The brides love it.
Wow, that's great. And I was reading again on your website about bridal bouquets. People can get all of their stuff and they can make their own
If
even.
they'd like to, yeah, I
Really?
can gather a bucket and they can do just a DIY flower bouquets and they can create themselves. It's much more cost-effective way of doing weddings.
I love the way you said it. And more people are doing things outside today, and I love this. And as I understand, you are having a flower bar.
I have a flower, yes, I've had 2 flower bars so far. I'm having a floral design event this evening. It's not this evening, tomorrow evening. What is it, the 28th? But about every other week I have an event where people can come create their own bouquets with all of these fresh flowers. And it's such a joy to be able to share these with people.
One of the things that amazed me is because you say that you can teach them how to arrange them. Me, I just put it all in there and I'm happy.
Which is great. You would be great for the floral bar because you can come pick and choose whatever you like. But even
Really?
at the floral design class, you can pick and choose whatever you like, but I give instruction as well.
Well,
So-
instruction doesn't hurt anybody. We can all learn.
Yeah.
Let's walk over and see some of these other flowers. This
Great.
is just such an array of color. And everybody worries about the butterfly today. You know, we say that butterflies are going away, and butterflies are everywhere here.
They love it here. Bees too. Bees
too.
are struggling.
We've already seen the bees.
Oh, yeah, they're
Yes,
here.
We're watching them. All right, let's see more. This is a place that a man could actually come and pick out things and make a woman happy no matter what, because there's such a vast array of color. What are these? Because they're gorgeous.
These are called Lisianthus,
Lisianthus.
or I've heard them called, I don't know, I feel like there's a common name, but I think Lisianthus is well known, of course, throughout farmers, and even florists know them as Lisianthus. They are a labor of love. Start them from seed in December and January, and they're just now blooming, and they are an
Really?
annual here.
Wow.
In the valley, warmer places, they're native to Texas and warm parts of Mexico. They will live perennially, but here they just live in the summer.
And I hear kids.
Yes.
Are you teaching them, by the way? Are they learning?
They are enjoying being outside, playing outside.
This is great. We, over here on my right, of course, I don't know what these are. I'm looking to you to tell me. Larkspur?
Those are larkspur
I
on their
thought
way
so.
out. They are an early summer crop for us here, but native, not all of these colors, but larkspur is native up here and will grow wild.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, right over here, you were telling me that you didn't even plant these. These just came up,
They
right?
did. I grew them last year and they went to seed and birds spread them, and so now I have them all over my plot, and I just let them grow because they're beautiful and the birds love them still, and I will use them in bouquets because they're such a great color, filler, structure. They're beautiful. They're actually a type of amaranth.
They are absolutely beautiful. This is like a dream, something that anybody would enjoy. Is there anything particular that you want to tell us about making the bouquets when we come to get flowers? Because you only come once you make your order. You let people know where it is so that they're not traipsing through your garden.
Yes.
Because gardens, really, you have to be careful.
Yes, you do. There's plenty of tripping hazards, and people don't.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand how to harvest flowers. We're mid-morning right now, and it's too hot to be picking flowers right
Already?
now. I'm out here at 5:36 in the morning until 7:30, and that's the only time I can harvest.
Really?
It has to be cool outside, and your flowers have to be hydrated, otherwise they just fall over and wilt. So yeah, I'm out here early. So if people wanted to order, they can go through my website, or they can reach out to me to order, and I put those together. Or if they want to order a bucket of flowers for a wedding or such, they do it that way. But I harvest everything just because I know the personality of every flower. I feel like sometimes I've got 100 extra kids. They all have different personalities and their needs, and so I trust myself to be able to harvest them correctly.
And when you say harvest them, I know that you have some snippers with you, and I happen to have those, and I didn't even know what they were called because I have a lot of roses. And so one thing I've learned, people always wanted to know when I lived in Taylor why all of my 28 roses were always flourishing. And one of the things I would do is, roses are beautiful, and they do not like to be ugly. So in spite of what I was taught, I would go out, if anything, you know, there was a dark area, a dead looking area, I would go out and get it off immediately. They loved it, and I never put fertilizer on there. Everyone did well, but I also did this thing of watering them by hand every day because I really communicated to them that I appreciated them.
That's so much of what growing is. You have to have a relationship when you have to understand them to be able to best take care of them.
So loving the flowers is an ingredient in making them work.
That's part of it.
Hi there.
Okay, just a moment, honey, Kay.
Here I am again, going ooh and ah, a little bit of everything. And we do seem to gravitate to the purples and, like you said, the rare blues, bachelor buttons and so forth. But I found one over here that I fell in love with. What is this?
I call it Gomphrena. It grows really well in our heat. In the warmer part of the season, it dries really well. It adds so much pop of color to my bouquets, and really easy to grow.
Wow. You get out so early, you said. When someone has ordered bouquets from you, do they come that early and pick them up, or do they come throughout the day?
I ask for 24 hours notice, and then they come pick up at my house just sometime throughout the day. If I'm not available, I just leave them at a spot in my house and pre-arranged, and they can just come pick them up because they've prepaid. And so I can be out working still, and they can come pick up, and so I can still be productive rather than waiting on people to come get them.
Do you have employees?
I have some part-time people that come help me in the early morning. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned as we began today about buying local, and we all know that that's important if you live on the mountain because we have to support each other. But people really do love when someone does something on their own. And of course, like I said, you don't have a storefront, but people can order a number of different ways. But I think subscription is something that surprised me. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's one of my most popular ways of selling. People prepay for X amount of weeks of flowers, and they pick up flowers from my house once a week, either for 4 weeks at a time, 8 weeks, 12 weeks and 16 weeks. And just depending on how many weeks are left in the season.
So after 16 weeks, what happens?
So 16 weeks of flowers, that 16-week options for those that get flowers as early as the tulips and daffodils. People can choose to do an every other week option, but we have about 4 weeks left in the season if somebody wanted to get flowers just through September. But they just come pick them up from my house weekly, and it's such a delight seeing them pick up their flowers, and they're They're so beautiful. Oh, it warms my heart.
I love it. You do have a great job.
Yes.
What are the other ways that people can get flowers? I know that you go to the farmers market on Saturday.
I'm at the Truck Stop Farmers Market on Saturdays, and I'm selling all this fresh stuff there. I have wedding flower options available. I just do, I guess, single individual orders that people can make through my website or messaging me. What other ways? I will sell to the local florists. So if you ever want a special bouquet, you can always request local flowers. They really do appreciate that. They love using these fresh flowers because they know that they're fresh. They know that they've been picked that day, the day before. They're organically, sustainably grown. They're not going to have mold on them. So much of the public doesn't understand where our flowers come from and the bad chemicals that are on them. And anyway, just I could go into that for a while. But yeah, our local florists love to support me as well, which I so appreciate.
Well, I appreciate that too, but one of the things, I've tried to keep the weeds down in my yard, and I don't like to spray anything either. And you said that we have cardboard beneath us, and then we have shavings, wood shavings from trees on top of this.
In my pathways, I have put cardboard, and the wood chips, and that helps keep the weeds down. It's not completely because they will break down, which allows them, the weeds to grow in as well, but it does keep them down. It keeps moisture in the soil. It keeps, when it's rained or snowed, these pathways don't get muddy, and I can walk through them.
Really?
And that was such a problem here before I was growing, that there was just constant mud when there was rain and snow. So I'm here working almost the whole year, so it's so nice to have the space to be walking in.
Absolutely, how smart. And here we go, over here we're watching, very careful. What do you cover everything with? What is this?
This is a netting I use for support when we have strong winds, as you are familiar with, especially in the spring and then heavy rains. This helps keep the flowers from falling over. This was rolled up a bit because I didn't need it this direction, but all this lisianthus down here has that support. Several of other flowers that are prone to falling over have the support as well.
That's fantastic. And so during the winter, you're kind of like just prepping for the next season.
Yeah, after our first frost, I have to come in and clean up everything. The dahlias have to be dug up and stored at my house. They look like almost like a sweet potato, and they have to be stored, and then I'll plant them out again in the spring. But just there's so much cleanup. All the dead stuff has to be taken, put in the compost, because we don't want harmful bugs to be living in there over winter. And we prep the beds again, put compost or any amendments that they need, and that all happens from October to, again, March, April. So even though my flower season is only from April to October, I'm working year round.
You definitely are.
Yeah.
What did you do before you got into this?
My educational background is landscape architecture. So I did that, I studied that at ASU, and I worked in that for a few years. And we moved up here about 5.5 years ago and decided I didn't want to be a landscape architect. A lot of my time was spent on a computer, and I want to be working outside. I want to be working with people so much more.
You really are a flower farmer.
This is my joy. Yeah.
I love it. Well, as I look around here, there's such a variety. Just tell us some of the names of the flowers that you have, this vast array.
Over to our left here, sunflowers. I plant them in successions. I plant about 250 every week.
You have to plant sunflowers?
Every week.
They're everywhere.
So, and I plant a special variety that's a florist variety, a hybrid that doesn't drop pollen. So those that you pick out in the wild drop pollen all over your countertop, and that's messy, and then they don't last. These last 10 to 14 days.
Really? Because I was going to say, when I get them and I cut them out in nature, they don't last very long.
No, these are the specialty kind that you want.
Okay.
And then of course we have lisianthus behind us. We have dahlias that came up from last year. We have some calendula. Behind this other multicolor row, we have scabiosa. I have cosmos. In the last row, I have remnants of bells of Ireland, and I have, under the shade cover back here, I have snapdragons. I don't know how many plants I grow, close to 50 probably, 50 varieties, and that the number doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. It's like I was joking earlier, it's like I have 50 children.
It's like you have 50 children, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love the color. Do you purposely have certain colors in certain areas around here?
No. No, I group them more by variety of flower. And I start with my cooler season flowers on that, and like the Bells of Ireland and the Snapdragons come up earlier. Feverfew and this multicolored Scabiosa are something that I plant earlier, and as the warmer season stuff comes in, back that direction.
And there is a group that is covered, I mean well covered,
Yes.
beyond us. Why is that covered?
Those are Snapdragons.
That's the Snapdragon.
Which
we loved them as children. We really did snap them.
Yes, and they talk. I learned this year, how long have I been growing, that seed packets and instructions say that they need full sun, but our sun is so harsh, they need some partial shade from us. So my Snapdragons thrive under that partial shade. So that's why I've added that. They do so much better. Early in the season, I had planted them out and they were just getting sunburned. I was like, what's going on? They need full sun, but they thrive under there. So I'm learning so many more plants. Even I think these Lisianthus would thrive more.
With cover? With
some cover, yeah. So I'm gonna be, every year I'm learning, changing, making adjustments, and learning to grow in our environment, because if I'm learning from a flower farmer in, say, the Pacific Northwest or the East Coast, their growing environments are so different, and they can't teach me all the details that I have to know to grow in Show Low.
Absolutely. Like I said, when I came here, somebody said, do you have a raised bed? And I went, what? Didn't know what that was. But I saw where someone had started one in the home that I bought, and so I capitalized on that. And you do learn, you know, as you go along. Now, tell us, you have like 3 different places, locations that you grow, is that correct?
Technically 3, yes. I started out at this location. I started working on it 3 years ago. We bought our first house a year and a half ago, which I started on, but it has some major morning glory bindweed issues, just terrible weed problem, and trying to get rid of it organically. I'm solarizing it with black tarps.
Really?
That can take a year, 2 years to get rid of, though. You have to completely eliminate it.
So you have to have patience.
Oh, but I've even tried spraying it once and it came right back, and I really don't like sprays at all. My kids are playing back there. So yeah, we're solarizing that. So I've only got a small section of my yard that I'm growing at, and then I've started a 3rd plot at a friend's house in Show Low, their agricultural land, and they're actually wanting me to expand there, but with 2 little kids, I have my hands full. I can't expand anymore right now.
Exactly.
Hopefully someday, though.
And then you can hire more people.
Yes, I would love to. Any other flower lovers?
There's a little saying that my grandmother had me paint. I don't know why she thought that I could do that, but I did it for her, and it was the kiss of the sun for pardon, the song of the birds for mirth. One is nearer God's heart in a garden than any place else on earth. That's just
so beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us how to get in touch with you again, and your hours that you respond.
Yes. They can reach out to me through social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Ruby Jewel Flowers.
And why Ruby Jewel?
Ruby Jewel was my great-grandmother's name, and she was a flower lover. And I knew her as a child. She passed away when I was maybe 10 years old. Her daughter, my grandma, was a flower lover and flower grower, not on this scale. They passed that on to my mom, who passed it on to me. And now my daughter is named Ruby. Ruby May, but Ruby. And just, I love the name, and I feel like it fits me. It's a personal name for me.
Well, I knew that people wanted to know that. So now, again, you've given your email, you've given your website, and
so
the hours.
Instagram and Facebook, you can find me on Ruby Jewel Flowers, and then rubyjewelflowers.com is the website. Hours, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., sometimes a little bit later if my brain is still working from a long day.
So you do have long days. Farming is not for sissies.
Nope. It's not frolicking in the fields. It's hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
So you heard it right here. And if you want local flowers, this is the place to get them, whether you're a florist, whether you're a man or a woman, because it doesn't matter. And you can actually help men make some good decisions. Thank you so much, Camilla.
Thank you. This was so fun.
It was.